there! I'm Eerie Deary. Welcome to my spooky studio. Thank you for being here with me today. Have you ever wondered how an illustration such as this one comes together from an idea all the way to a finished product? Well, that's what I'm going to be going over today. Just let Professor Eerie explain it all. Wait, no, don't. I'm not a professor. But in any case, I'm going to take a look at my process and how this came from just a random assigned Pokemon to a sketch to, well, you'll see. A little context is that this is artwork that I made for a Pokemon Gijinka zine. So basically like the idea of a Pokemon expressed through like a person like their fashion, maybe their hairstyle, everything kind of gives the vibe of whatever Pokemon. This was being run by Zines. Incredible. I've made many pieces for their zines and I just always have a great experience. And so when the Pokemon Gijinka zine came up, I knew I had to apply. And there were so many of us that we needed to not just do the Kanto Pokedex, but Johto as well. And Pokemon were randomly assigned, though you could swap and trade with people up to a certain time. And I got Vulpix. And you'll see him up here in the top corner of my sketches. I just kind of took a stock image of a Vulpix. It was just like, there, now I have the official one to reference. My first idea is on the very left. It's this kind of like I had this image of this maid with a big old pack on her back and it's all bundled up with stuff and it looks like the big fluffy tails. And I thought I could express the lighter tummy through an apron. But I really try not to just stick to my first idea, so I did some some more sketches. So the next one to the right was my second idea, which was like, oh, what if we went more with like a winter wear vibe? And instead of the hair buns, we could have kind of like a fuzzy, fluffy hat. We could have separates with trim that kind of brings to mind what's going on with Vulpix's design. Where I really started to like get inspired was these top center two, where I started thinking about the tails sort of being expressed as like this hood, and it could curl up over your head like a hood or drape back down over your shoulders. I was sort of inspired by like an oversized hoodie and leggings and boots combo. And I started thinking about like camping and how a lot of playing Pokemon is about going out in nature, and so I thought, well, maybe like some kind of active wear, something that someone would wear like on a hike or on a camping trip, and that started kind of, those ideas started cooking. This design on the far right, I drew it actually after those in the center, and then I kind of went like, I think the other ones I want to develop more. Though I think it is a cool design. So after I had my design, the next thing for me to do was make a ref sheet. So basically front, back, close-ups, details, my color palette, all in one place to make it very easy for me to reference later, which I do a lot. Like, I did design every bit of this and still was forgetting things all the time. And that's kind of, it's a great reason to make a ref sheet. And they don't even need to be as polished as this one, like usually, but since there were actually two parts to the zine, one with all the ref sheets and one with all the illustrations. And so it was just a very cool thing to do. It's not something I usually do, but I'm very glad to have had the experience. And I got to show like what the sweater underneath looks like, some details on the leggings. So I feel quite happy about it. Seeing the hood in different positions from different angles, I think that's helpful. And this zine actually did a draw this in your style, where people are invited to draw their different favorite Gijinka designs and use these ref sheets for help. And there have been some super cool illustrations that have come out of this, and just creativity upon creativity upon creativity. So, to start this piece was pretty easy thanks to Nini from Zines giving us templates to work with. So I could just open it up in my drawing program of choice, which is Sketchbook, and just get going. Okay, here we go. I'm starting out by doing some just basic sketches of some different ideas, just kind of thinking about what sort of vibe do I want. And I mostly wanted just a camp scene. I was thinking about Vulpix being very like warm and fuzzy and cozy, and maybe camping during the autumn would be like kind of a good choice. So I just wanted like a cozy camp vibe of a trainer hanging out with their Vulpix at their little campsite. Just something kind of sweet and just celebrating really the autumn and getting outdoors. I sometimes when I make a piece, I immediately know like how I want it to be. With this one, I wanted to try and show off the outfit as best as I could, while also spotlighting the Vulpix and the commonalities between the Gijinka design and the Vulpix. And so I wanted just a very cozy vibe. I was watching a lot of the anime Laid Back Camp at this time, so I just wanted to go all in. Just chill times with the Vulpix in the woods. The woods aren't really here yet, but they're in my heart at this point. And so at this point, I've basically kind of like gotten most of the idea of what I want to do. Oh, there's the woods. Good. And so I wanted to put a tent. One of my favorite things about playing the Pokemon games is being able to set up like a little campsite and just making food. Especially, I love making the curry and the sandwiches for my Pokemon. I just think that's really fun and immersive. And so I hope I could capture that vibe. Oh, and this is another thumbnail I did. I put it away pretty quickly, but I was thinking, oh, I kind of forgot I did that one. It's very cute. Because zines are generally kind of a long time in the making, and so I was finishing up this piece in around November of last year and started a few months before. And working on zines, working with these deadlines and stuff, it's definitely taught me to pace myself, to sort of gauge how much I can do, how much I want to do, which projects are important to me. Going into sort of detail sketching, where I'm trying to get like a little bit more of the details in. Right now I know where everything's going, basically. I'm going to change some things later. But I just want to kind of clear it up, move things around a bit, nudge it here, nudge it there. I'm definitely going to be looking up a reference of a Vulpix while I'm drawing this. I remember that because I kept thinking, am I supposed to draw it like a dog or a cat or a fox? But really, I need to draw it like a Vulpix. So getting some more references definitely helped. And at this point, I'm sort of at the time where I'm sort of just vibing. I'm kind of like, I'm just gonna do my best, drawing everything, and then when things don't, like, if things end up not looking right, then I'll deal with them one by one. Because otherwise I tend to get stuck on details and will end up just not... I really do just get stuck. I end up not being able to work on something for a bit because I'm just like, oh, what if I do the wrong thing? And that's one reason I really like digital art, is because I can always hit undo. I can always delete the layer. Though in the past, sometimes I've deleted the wrong layer, and that's never fun. Alright, so we've got my composition is all good. I can't even handle it anymore. I'm throwing in color. because it helps me get an idea of what sort of the overall look is going to be, and I really wanted to focus on sort of this orangey, warm forest vibe, kind of mirroring the colors of the Vulpix itself and fire, and also this bright blue sky, like it's a very chilly autumn morning. And we've got our campfire, or, well, the campfire's not gonna last. Later I realized, like, well, do I need a campfire if I've got a Vulpix here? Though really it was just not working with the composition, and sometimes to make things read a bit better, it's important to just kind of go, oh, that's not going to work for this piece. Alright, I'll let that go for a second. And so I already had the colors planned. Oh, you'll see me popping up my reference, like, oh, I know I designed this outfit, but what did it look like again? And a ref sheet is really great for keeping track of all of these small details, because I really wanted to do my outfit justice. I really spent a good amount of time designing it and trying to make it like almost something you could buy, you could see yourself feasibly wearing on a camping trip. And I really thought about what would be comfortable and what would be functional. Trying to make that campfire work. We're not gonna do the campfire, but I think I learned a thing or two trying to draw it. So right now I'm blocking in colors and trying to make it so that I've got this illusion of depth where we've got a foreground, middle ground, background. And the background is the blue sky with these sort of distant trees. The middle ground is sort of this area with the fire and the tent. And then the foreground, we've got our trainer and our Vulpix. And right now I'm trying out a different pose because having them face sort of away from, I guess, the camera, the viewer, I wasn't showing off enough of the costume. Or, not costume, outfit. I tried so hard not to think of it as a costume and to try and think about, like, clothing, but there's nothing wrong with things being a bit costumey, right? I think I end up using even a couple more poses still. But doing this, I'm finding out which parts of the outfit do I want to spotlight. How do I want all of these elements to fit together on the screen? Or rather, the canvas. But since I draw digitally a lot of the time, it ends up just being the screen. Alright, getting into our secondary sketch once again. I tend to do like a rough sketch, kind of a secondary sketch, and then however much sketching I need to get to a place where I'm like, okay, time to finalize. And so things get pretty messy. My art often looks a bit of a mess for the first, oh gosh, like 75% of the process, where it's like, oh, it's kind of getting there, but it's not where I want it to be. Oh, and at this point I'm nudging things around, moving the composition, and I start playing with this idea of having the Vulpix do this thing, like where they're like making fire in the air and like have like little leaves flying. I ended up not being able to really communicate it enough for what I wanted to say in a way that I felt satisfied with, so I ended up having it sort of like levitating a leaf over its nose. I figure Vulpix would have like maybe like heat coming off of it, heat rising, and it could like maybe light things, make them float up a little bit. I just love the idea of them being kind of warm and toasty. And what a perfect time, the autumn, to go out camping with your warm toasty beast. And with the tails, I maybe took a little bit of artistic license. I made them really big and just poofy, floofy. That's just how they seem to me. I think I vaguely remember seeing a Vulpix card as a child. I didn't really know what it was from or anything, but gosh, those tails, oh, they just look so soft. And so the campfire is gone. Goodbye, campfire. We knew you kind of well. And we're basically at the final pose for our trainer. Something where we've still got them sitting down, kind of reclining. I thought that maybe it'd be nice if they're having like their morning tea. And I try making it look like it's dawn with the lighting a bit in the sky, and I end up deciding to kind of just go with like the simpler blue sky just for the contrast. It just ended up working better for whatever reason. So right now I'm really trying to get the details down and just make sure I have everything marked out where it's going to go, that I've thought about what the different blocks of color are going to look like together. I still have some sketches up, but I really want to go for like a painterly sort of style, but still like a drawing as well. I wanted it to have kind of just a soft, warm sort of vibe to it. Oh, here we are. Pulled out my Vulpix reference. And I was totally lazy and just screen capped an image and downloaded it. At this point, I was like, I don't know how to draw this thing, and I need to try. It's really interesting how like the head size to the body size, like the head is much bigger than one would expect. But I guess that's just, you know, the magic of Pokemon. The proportions can be a bit wild, but they all seem like they fit, like they belong. And now it's time for rendering. And those are my helpful arrows saying which direction the lighting is coming from. I end up doing this like pretty much every time I start shading a drawing. I know where it is, but I do like the reminder of just like, light is coming down this way. But just so you know. And that helps me place the shadows nicely, and I'm starting to get into some different kinds of layers, like where you can add a layer that basically just makes everything a lighter version of the color that's below it, which makes it's really helpful actually. They can really help you get the effects that you would like, especially if you want something like glowy or you want some kind of cool color shifts. A few times I try to render out these leaves and make them kind of sharp, and for seeing trees all the time every day, I feel like I always forget what they look like when it's time to draw them. And I ended up trying to stick to simpler shapes. And I was thinking about aspen trees. I don't know if those are in Kanto, but we'll just say they're trees that have orange leaves in the fall and sort of light trunks. With trees and leaves, I feel like I always bite off a little bit more than I can chew. I always want to go pretty detailed, but when it's something in the background, you actually don't need all that much detail to make it clear what it is. Like, I don't have to draw every branch and every leaf if I suggest that the tree with things like the shapes and the colors, the contrast. So I do try rendering out the leaves a few times in this recording, but then end up going back with like just simple blobs of color. And really, when we look at things from far away, that's kind of what they become. Unless you have like vision like Superman and you can keep every single thing in high def, totally in focus all the time. But in general, the human eye needs to simplify some things. You're not actually picking up all of the details in things that are further away. Even though you know that the leaves are there, you're not actually seeing them. And so it's kind of a challenge sometimes to represent something non-literally, but it really does work better a lot of the time. I end up drawing sort of a pile of leaves, and like I don't think I drew any individual entire leaf. It's just the shapes and the shading and sort of the context, really. If I had drawn that pile of leaves as it is, just by itself, people might be like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I don't really know what it is. But with the context of it being in this forest, with having all the orange leaves around it, then your mind kind of fills in the blanks. This point is when I get very nervous when I'm rendering something. where it's like, oh, things are starting to come together, but also I am so scared. I don't know what is happening, and the only way out is through, but it's gonna be a bit. So I try lots of different ways of shading and kind of experiment. I think the composition at this point, I'm really glad that it's very balanced. We have the emphasis on the characters. Oh, time to edit my sketch. Oh, like drawing is like, wee, oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun, yay! And then editing is like, oh no. Oh no. I forgot I had to do this again. I mean, I do art because I love it, but there are some aspects to it that's like, oh, I'm so tired. And rendering is sort of like sometimes I love it, sometimes I can just get into the zone and sort of not shut my brain off, but like kind of just feel it out. But sometimes I'm just like, oh, I want to do something fast. I don't want to edit every little bit. Like, who made it so I had to do this? It was me. And so, trying to get my line art, trying to erase the things that I don't need, sort of using positive space versus negative space to define the shapes. And since I started painting over the blue, I kind of have like a little bit of blue peeking through the colors sometimes, and I think that's like a really fun detail. It reminds me of like physically painting, where you have these semi-transparent layers that sort of all interact with each other. And there are so many wonderful brushes on Sketchbook. I think I ended up using basically like 2 of them, like just a basic round brush and then one that had like this nice texture to it. And of course something blendy. I gotta have a blendy brush. And so right now I'm trying to define the shapes, sort of simplify different areas, and keep defining details wherever I can. At this point, it just feels so slow. This is at super speed, really. But there's a lot of time, and there's a lot of thinking time. And there's a lot of like, well, I'll draw it this way, I'll draw it this way. Like, let's try that again. And it's a very fun process, of course. But it's also a lot of work. Making a finished illustration, or at least something that like I consider a bit more finished, like rendered out, not very sketchbook looking. Though that really differs between person to person. Like, when do you call your art done? But let's not get into philosophical stuff right now, because we're drawing something from Pokemon. How cool is that? And so many of my pieces of art, so much of my artwork is just drawing cool outfits I wish I had. And for something like a Gijinka, I really got to embrace that and just go, yeah, I'm gonna make something really cool. Something that makes me go, aw, man, I wish I was better at sewing and I could make it. And I think I succeeded. I think I made something that I would definitely keep in my closet and wear camping, wear out and about, especially during the autumn. I don't really think I would be a fire type trainer if I were in the Pokemon universe. Probably something like fairy type. I am a clown after all. But I think that the Vulpix is just such a cute, sweet little guy. It's just a little guy. And at some point, the mug of some kind of morning drink, I made it into sort of a travel cup. Because I was like, I don't know if anyone's going to want to be dealing with just an open mug on their campsite. So an insulated mug, that's much better. And so, to replicate the ears, I really wanted to make headphones. I just thought that vibing out to your music with headphones that also keep your ears warm, like that's kind of a nice little thing. I used to see those at Claire's, and oh, Claire's, how I miss you. But there's no time to reminisce about Claire's, because we're rendering the tent and we're making the background kind of secure. Up to this point, things have been kind of floating around, but I'm really trying to keep things on the ground. and with the angles making sense, and with the perspective making sense. And I swear, every single art class I've ever taken in my life, we learned about perspective, and I still... It's definitely an undertaking. It's very impressive when people can do 2-point perspective, 3-point perspective. Like, what? That's so cool. Whereas I end up drawing kind of what I see or like what I feel and then going, okay, let's fix the perspective later. But maybe I should try and work on that a bit. With Vulpix, I think I was like, okay, I need to make this make sense. Please. I need this Vulpix to make sense. It's the whole point of the drawing. And while we're at it, let's do a red line on my person as well. Just make sure my anatomy is all good. Because the pose is a pretty simple one, so we're just laying back, kind of sitting in a chair, but with everything kind of being overlapping, and I just wanted to make sure I got it right. Especially since the chair also is in perspective, and the tent, and... Well, you'll see me getting out my guidelines here. I've zoomed out so far, it's like I'm like, it can't hurt me if it's zoomed really small. But I don't think my perspective lines are going to save me this time. No, that's a little dramatic. It's one of those things that unless the composition very much requires things to be exact, it's okay if it's not perfect. You just want it to be enough. It's sort of that's what we in the industry call good enough. Though I say that and then I redraw everything in the drawing a bunch of times, and eventually after redrawing it 20 times I go, alright, good enough. Like it was good enough 10 times ago. But such as being an artist, or anyone who creates things, it's gonna take a bit to, I guess, make yourself. Like, it's not even about what other people think at some point, it's about what you yourself think of your work. And so at this point, I think I have gotten a little frustrated with my sketch, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to make sure I have everything drawn out, and I'm gonna keep rendering based on this sketch, which is something I should have done, but when you work on a project like this that's very big, sometimes for me, I end up doing things kind of in the wrong order and having to do them over again. And I can't quite decide what to do with this chair. I looked up camping chairs online, and I just tried to go for something basic that it's like, it's a chair. It's not the most exciting chair in the world, but this drawing needs a chair. I did think about having the person sitting like sort of on the ground on like a picnic blanket, but there's something about going camping and having a good camp chair. So I ended up going with that. In my mind, they're on the morning, maybe the last morning of their trip, and they're gonna pack up soon, but first they're just having a little bit of fun before packing up the campsite. Trainer is having a nice beverage of some kind, maybe some tea, maybe some coffee. I'm not really sure what would be popular in Kanto, but, something good. Finally, things are starting to be where they need to be. There are a lot of moving pieces to this image. A lot of the time I'll focus on maybe one figure or a portrait, and doing 2 figures, and one of them being an animal, and having a whole background, and it was, what's the word? It was ambitious. I love making art for the projects .zine creates, and I was just like, I want to do a good job. I want to represent. It's like a thank you for the times that I sent in my file that was labeled wrong and you were nice to me, and thank you for letting me share my art. Nini of dotzines does free-for-all zines, meaning everyone who applies will get in, and as long as you follow the format and the rules and everything, it's about community, it's about all of us coming together and making so many Pokemon Gijinkas. We had to go into Gen 2, and there's still so much interest for even more. It's incredible what we can all do together. We could have a whole zine of everyone just doing a Gijinka for one Pokemon, and every single thing would be different. And so for all of us to be doing all these different things, it's pretty incredible. I would never even think of stuff that people made in the zine. Which, by the way, if you want to check out the Pokemon Gijinka zine, I'll put a link in the description so you can download it. It is free and full of so much cool art. It's just like, it's incredible. Any of the zines that have been produced by dotzines are well worth taking a look through. Just so much talent, so much amazing, like so many amazing ideas. And it makes me feel really good as an artist, doing things with other artists. Like, it's fun. It makes me think of being a little kid and everyone's playing with the crayons and all just drawing and scribbling, and well, our scribbles have gotten a little more advanced, I think. But doing projects like this, collaborative sort of things, I think it's very worthwhile. And people sell them and will make a profit and everything. I've only ever done free zines and charity zines, and I think that's probably how I'm going to keep it. There have been some things that have happened with some for-profit zines in the past that nothing I've been involved with, but there's some things that can happen. And I found a community where I can make things and not really have to worry about that. So, you know, win, 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 win. So at this point in my drawing, I'm definitely working on this background. I'm just like, I gotta give it some texture. I've gotta make my foreground, middle ground, background more clear. And I'm really trying to emphasize the big shapes. Sort of like we've got the Vulpix's 6 tails are all like one big shape together, and the leaves on the trees are big blobby shapes, things like that. And these big shapes sort of hold the whole image together and make it kind of make sense, make it feel right. It's kind of a hard thing to explain, but sometimes you look at something and go, that just feels right. And so once I'm getting these shapes in, then I'm trying to soften my lines around them. I'm trying to shade, just like some gentle shading. I'm mostly going for like the mood than like dramatic lighting in this piece. And I'm really a big fan. I really am a big fan of this piece and my art, I guess, in general. Working on zines has really pushed me to up my skills and work on things that scare me, like backgrounds and drawing trees. We all have our things that we kind of wish we could do a little bit better with. When I get to the end of a piece, I end up zooming in, zooming out, zooming in, zooming out. Like, how's this look from far away? How's it look from up close? How's it, you know? It's something I do with physical painting as well, which is basically just physically get up, go somewhere far from your painting, and like look at it from a distance, and then kind of like squint your eyes, kind of go, you know, and then you go back to close up with it and look at it from close up. And all the time I've spent painting, like a significant amount of it is just looking at things and going, how could I... Okay, I'm just gonna take a day. Now look at it again. It's so helpful to sometimes walk away from something and come back and look at it as well. Get that, like, I suppose, mental distance. And at this point, I zoom out and I see how well are my details reading. Is there anything that stands out? Is there anything that seems like it doesn't belong? Then zoom back in. Let's work on that. Zoom out. Is there anywhere that stands out and doesn't flow the way I want? Like, okay, zoom back in. And so with with painting, a lot of it is just kind of just doing like a little bit, little adjustments. And just a little adjustment can make such a difference. Sometimes the little adjustments aren't enough, but that's when we sort of find our inner strength as artists. Or something. Have a snack, come on back, and let's try again. It's really getting close. It's like where I'm sort of like 80%, 85% done. And this always stretches on so long, where it's like it's looking like it's pretty finished, but no, this spot, then this spot, then this spot. Like we have to check every pixel. Every pixel must be in the right spot. And if you're a digital artist, you probably know how that is. There is sort of a loss of control that can happen with physical media where you may be moving the paintbrush, but you aren't controlling exactly how the paint is coming off the brush. There's variations in texture, there's various things that can happen. And in digital art, you really do have control over every single bit. And so you really can get caught in the trap of like, I need to do it again and again and again and again until it's right. Or else. Whereas with a physical painting, you might try that and then you end up with like a painting that's an inch thick of paint because you just kept painting over it. I haven't managed that one yet, but it is possible. And so with digital art, at some point, there you have to sort of let go and go, yes, a human made this. A human who is fallible, who makes mistakes, who doesn't always know the right thing. But that's kind of what's great about it. Like, how the heck? I put a bunch of colorful smudges on a screen and now it's an image. It's one of those things I think about, how art really is incredible. In that there's sadly no Pokemon that actually does exist. But through artwork, we make them exist. And we make them part of our lives. And we interact with each other and with the world in new ways. And I think that's something that I love about doing these zines, is sort of the togetherness and just knowing that we're all trying our best. And we all have our struggles, and we all have our victories. We all have things that we go, oh, I wish I'd done that better. But at the same time, there's always going to be someone who says, wow, that's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. You don't need to change a thing. I guess what I'm saying is, Pokemon is great. And art is great. And if you, as an artist or a writer, ever have a chance to participate in a zine or a fanzine, I encourage you to give it a try. It's a fun time, and it's good practice for things like meeting deadlines, contacting people, making sure you stay in communication, working with others. But it's, at least for the zines I've done that are not for profit, there's a little bit less pressure, I think. Because you're not trying to earn money with it, you're just trying to make something and share it. And go, ta-da! We made this thing together! Like, that's so cool! I've participated in quite a few of these zines at this point, and I still am just always awed at, like, wow, people are so creative. Wow, everyone has such cool ideas. Let's all make stuff together again. And to me, that's what art is all about. Alright, we're adding our final touches now. Just our little outlines to suggest fallen leaves. And they don't even quite, like, they aren't even colored in perfectly. Sort of that leaf litter just being expressed. Putting in some nice lines so that the chair legs look like they're metal. Something that, you know, kind of folds up. And just making sure everything sort of stands out the way I want or blends the way I want. There's a lot of tiny, tiny, tiny adjustments near the end. It can kind of feel like an endless slog, but it's so nice to realize, like, wait, I think I'm done. I think I feel happy with this, and I don't feel like I need to do anything else. I don't think it's lacking. Or maybe not lacking as the term, but like, yes, this is it. Like, am I proud to show this off? Yeah. Am I feeling good about it? Totally. Like, then it's a successful piece. Even if you don't show your art to anyone, like, if you feel good about it, that's a success and should always be celebrated. Coming right down to it, just blending my lines, softening. I wanted it to have a look like line art, but like soft line art. And I was thinking, oddly, a little bit of 101 Dalmatians and the rendering style of how it was like a little bit almost messy, but it has this softness and this expression to it. And I think that I've got it. I want to express this kind of cozy, joyous, a nice moment, a nice morning. And I certainly would like to be at that campsite. These big swirly tails were so fun to draw. I would like to draw the snow Vulpix. Alolan Vulpix, maybe? But the regular kind, it just gives me such fall vibes. I love it. And there you have it. That is how I made this full illustration come together, and had lots and lots of fun making it. And some frustrating times. Rendering can be very endless, but all's well that ends well, and I feel very happy with this piece. If you could dress up like a Pokemon, which one would you choose? Let me know in the comments. And thank you for being here with me today.